Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Alien RPG rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to languages for all ages, listeners should know that the alien setting can include strong violence and gore. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again in another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am normally your keeper or handler, Michael Diamond, but today I'm going to be sitting in the chair, the Game Mother chair, as we're going to roll out a little bit of Alien for you, the listener. So first, at the top of the show, let me thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. If you'd like to see what we have to offer on Patreon, you can at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. We encourage you also to go over to @theoldwayspodcast and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to make a push for 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel, and every single one of you helps a ton. There's a big gift to give away at 1,000 too, and I'm really eager to do so. So help us out, and maybe it can be you. As for now, I will defer to my cast for introductions. We will begin to my right.
Hi, I'm Rena, they, them, and tonight I will be playing the company man, Klaus Wagner, he, him, and everything's fine. We're all here for the good of the company and the good of mankind. It will all be good. You will all survive this. I guarantee.
Oh, it's a very, out of the gate, a guarantee. I also like how you stated that we're all here for the good of the company first, which sort of just really spells out exactly really who you are. To Klaus's right.
Hello, I am Rosie Regular Size Mom, and tonight I am playing for you Jackie Robertson, the lead mechanic and roughneck of our party. And as soon as she hears anything about the good of the company coming out of our company man's mouth, hairs on the back of her neck stand up and she has to throw some salt over her shoulder or something. Not planning on making it out alive at this point. At least maybe she can outrun the bear, leave someone else behind to... It already sounds awful.
It does. If nothing else, you can get the company man a little greasy, perhaps, and bring him down to earth. So at our veritable end of the table...
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Heath Hobbs, Deputy Marshal, and not all-round fuck-up despite what you may have heard.
I don't know. I've heard a few things already, Deputy.
Yeah, the paperwork on that last thing is really... that trial is really kicking my ass. But, I'm going to come back strong, and I'll show them all who's boss.
You will. And last, but most certainly not least.
Hello. My name is Gilbert Ramos, a.k.a. Ramos the Nomad. Today I will be playing Roberto Jimenez, pilot extraordinaire.
So we're going to raise the curtain in sort of an interesting space. And I say space because that's sort of where this is going to take place at. The characters, the collective group itself, finds their living space on a place called Roanoke Station. It's a fairly quiet Sieg-Song space station, which is nearly forgotten out in the wide frontier. They've been here for a varying amount of time, probably between 6 to 9 months. They've had the opportunity to get to know the station, to do some work out here, and for the most part, what Roanoke Station serves as is a waypoint for some of the more outer frontier spaces and excavations. There's a lot of ships that pass by that stop at Roanoke Station before heading to a plan to do mining or to do other types of scouting missions for companies or potentially for other governments. So we'll sort of open our camera lens on the promenade of Roanoke Station. So the promenade is a place where the majority of folks spend their free time. There's a bar, there's a store, there's a Sieg-Song store, so specific goods for the company. But most of your time is spent in and out of the cantina. And that's really because it's the main entertainment portion of what the station has to offer. It's not a huge station, so as far as complete complement for crew, it's probably 20 to 25 people. Although the station can hold more, the past few months, and this is really something that Jimenez would know, there haven't been as many trips being made out here. You've seen fewer and fewer ships in the past few months. And there's some concern, and this is probably more towards something that Klaus would know. The company is a little concerned about the longevity of the station and its viability. And so part of your role might be seen by others as a sort of inspector, making sure that the company's money is being spent in the right spot. So we'll just open on the cantina, and there's music playing, there's people drinking, there's a few other folks that are in and around the space too, and the group is probably not all cluttered together, I wouldn't imagine. I can imagine Jackie and probably Roberto seeing a lot of eye to eye. They're both sort of on the same level. And then I also imagine Hobbs in the corner, probably drinking by himself, maybe talking to the bartender about, the next thing that's happening. But we'll raise curtain there, and then just feel free to interact as we go.
Klaus is sitting at a table having a drink, and he likes to think of himself as the just sort of everyone's friend. And anyone who feels like they need to raise an issue or even just talk about their lives can just come and have a chat. He's very approachable, or so he thinks. Klaus wears, as always, a nice dark suit. That is the one thing he cares about. Even on a remote station like this, he is always well put together, well dressed. He brought several suits with him as his personal allotment, and that's about all he brought, other than his Rolex, which is displayed very ostentatiously every time he adjusts his sleeve.
Maybe that's a nervous tic that you've developed to sort of continually check your wrist to make sure that it's in pristine condition.
And that it's still there. You never know with the Marines.
Listen, hazard pay is hazard pay. So the bartender moves down from it seems like he was talking to Hobbs about something. He moves down to the center towards you, Jackie, and he sets another bottle on the bar itself and says, how's things down in maintenance?
I mean, they're going. We had to clean out a couple of the vents, but, that stuff gets jammed. It looks like someone might be shoving paper in there, which is a stupid prank, but it's okay.
He sort of eyes around the bar a little bit and says, the station doctor here is... she's known to be a little loose with her paperwork.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if you're looking at someone to blame, there's an easy target.
I'll remember that. Thank you.
Hobbs, there's an intercom signal that goes off sort of nearby. There's one fairly close to the bar, and you hear the station director's voice over it. His name is Sven, and he says, Hobbs, are you down there?
And Hobbs leans forward across the bar, lifts the handpiece off, and he's just like, Hobbs here, on patrol. What can I do for you, Sven?
On patrol in the bar, huh?
Yep. Making sure nobody causes any trouble.
Sure. Listen, I think there's a situation. We need to talk.
All right. Your office?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll make my way there. Should be no more than... Depends if the car is working. Yeah, shouldn't be long.
Good. So a couple minutes pass. Hobbs leaves. And as he does, he heads into the lift to head up. Clearly up, because big, huge arrow gets illuminated over the elevator. So there's no secret when people travel which way they're going. You hear those of you still in the cantina hear a distinct static that sort of runs its way over the audio in here as it interrupts the music. The lights flicker a little bit. And then after a moment, things seem to clear up.
I think that's my cue to check something out. And Jackie finishes her drink, puts it down a little hard, and gets up, adjusts her tool belt, and heads out to figure out what's up with the lights.
Yeah, that's a good question.
We appreciate your dedication to your work, Jackie. Thank you for keeping our station running and the company from losing money.
I appreciate the polish you keep on those shoes.
He brightens up as if happy that someone noticed how well polished his shoes are. He spent 30 minutes on them this morning.
So, Hobbs, you get up to Sven's office, and what he has on his screen, one of his main screens, is a readout, sort of tinted, dingy yellow readout of a ship. And he says, looks like we got a distress signal coming in from a ship passed through here a few weeks ago.
One of the regulars or one of the exploratory crews?
Yeah, it's a transponder signal from a survey vessel called the Midas. Now, the Midas passed through here a couple of weeks ago, and then again beforehand a couple of months back, but it's supposed to be exploring and going out and doing surveys and gathering up basically rock samples. But the ship's sending out a distress signal, and this, he points on screen, it's something that you've seen a couple of times, at least if nothing else in reports. You see that their disaster beacon is pinging.
Oh, shit. How long has it been going? How long have we...
We just started getting the signal. We're going to need to get some people together to figure out what's going on with that ship.
You want me to form a posse?
I do, but I want you to keep it quiet. Nobody likes hearing about disaster beacons. Pick the right people.
Yeah, sure.
The Bison's down in dock. Hobbs, you would know that the Bison is sort of a ship that Roanoke Station would use to go out and as an emergency vessel. But it can dock with the Midas. It's sort of your ship, even though you have no freaking idea how to pilot it, but it's your ship.
I mean, I'm the station person of responsibility.
Yeah, collect your group and then come and see me before you leave.
Sounds good. Anyone I gotta take? Any...
Well, listen, Deputy, you're a ship pilot. We all know that. You better take somebody who knows how to fly.
We all have our skills in life. Piloting is not one of mine. I'll pick up, thinking Jimenez. He's a good sort.
Mm-hmm.
Kinda wish he shut the fuck up, but you know.
And I suggest you take a tech from downstairs, one of the roughnecks. Somebody's going to have to know how to fix whatever's wrong with the Midas.
Thinking Robertson. I know she's kind of indispensable to you, Sven, but she's also one of the best we got, so...
If you take her, you have to bring her back. That's the rule.
I intend to bring her back because I owe her beer money.
Not something that I'd like to be a part of.
Yeah, no, it's not great. All right, you gonna tell me that I gotta bring someone corporate?
I'm not going to tell you that, but I'll tell you this. You know as well as I do that what will happen is that this little message will get around to people, and you'll have Klaus Wagner on your heels wanting to know what happened to the Midas because it's company property.
And he just closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, sighs so heavily that his greasy curly black hair just kind of wobbles. And he's just like, I'll bring Wagner along. It'll be great if we approach him rather than him approaching us.
There's ways the company works. It's better to involve them than have them decide to be involved.
And it gets us some degree of autonomy here on Roanoke. Don't worry, we've had this conversation before. All right, I'll start with Wagner, and then I'll get the rest.
All right, Deputy.
All righty. Sven, always a pleasure. I'll send you a ping when I got them all together.
Good.
And yeah, he's just going to walk out of the office, starting to light a cigarette.
So I want to step over and look in on what our resident roughneck is doing. You went to go investigate an electrical issue.
Yes.
Okay. So with the electrical issue, what's your... Yeah, what are your mechanical skills at this point?
I have a 3 in heavy machinery, and my Comtech is attached to my wits, so that's a 2.
Okay. So you have been chasing power problems on this station ever since they put in that add-on in the basement. So in the sub-basement of this sub-level of this station, there is a power distribution area, and there is this sort of mainframe that's been added on to Roanoke Station called Apollo. And Apollo has caused a few problems here and there. It's mostly because it's pretty power greedy. Basically, you have been not in charge, but sort of in charge of making sure that Apollo's power needs are met. And that also means that a lot of electrical rerouting and basically electrical fuse boxes, surge protection along the way is done. And every once in a while, you tend to think that Apollo gets a little hungry and other portions of the station suffer. You tried explaining this before to corporate, but they don't really listen. They're much more interested in having Apollo run.
Yeah, it's all capital letters, and Jackie has a lot of personal jokes about what all of those letters stand for, and none of them are polite.
Okay. Yeah, so if you give me, we'll say a Comtech roll, we'll see what you can make from this. And then by this time, as after this resolution, we'll get to Hobbs's terrible, terrible journey.
Absolutely nothing.
Ooh. Yeah, so the biggest problem you're having, the biggest problem with determining it is all of this electrical was recently redone, like within the past 6 months. It's all been redone. It's all been shunted. It's all been regulated and metered. It shouldn't be having this issue. You shouldn't be getting noise or power drops on the promenade. You know the promenade draws a shitload of power, but it shouldn't be happening anymore.
Did the working Joes do this work? Like, who did it?
Well, some of them, yes. Clearly, you've had to rely on some of the working Joes just because you only have so many hands.
She grumbles and keeps walking along all of the wires to double check them, but she feels her confidence plummeting.
Okay. Deputy, you return to the cantina as some of the folks you're looking for are right here.
Sure are. The worst one's right there. Yeah, he's just gonna take in the room almost like he wasn't just here 10, 20 minutes ago and just saunter over to Wagner's table and he's just like, Klaus?
Heath, or should I call you Deputy? I always forget. Pleasure to see you.
I prefer Deputy, as I've told you several times.
You know, you might change your mind. Depends on what you've been drinking during the day, but have a seat.
That was a one-time thing, Klaus. I swear to God.
That's not what you said the next morning, but okay.
No, you were very tender as a lover. No, I am here on business. I don't got time to sit. Putting together a posse. It's company business.
Klaus perks up.
And he just kind of lets that one sit. He's like, so we got to get a couple of folks. You, company representative, me, station representative. We need a pilot for Bison, and you'll need, someone actually competent just to know what the hell is going on.
Robertson would be my suggestion.
Personal preference. And I'm going to, and he just walks over and puts a hand on Jimenez's shoulder, and he's like, hey kid, I'm going out, and I need a pilot, and I know that you don't abuse methamphetamines, so let's roll. Unless you're busy. Are you busy?
I busy? In this shithole? I'm your guy. Where are we flying? Finally something's happening?
I can't talk about it till we're off station. The walls have ears, don't you know?
Klaus has gotten up and is following Hobbs around at this point.
Imagine, if you will, listener, a guy who is like 6'2", lean, wearing a bomber jacket with a deputy badge pinned to the front and combat, like fatigues with combat boots. And then Klaus, as described to you, is following him and is just smiling at everyone and nodding and knows everyone's name.
I'm everyone's friend.
Everybody's friend.
But also I need to know what you're doing.
Well, in that case, come along with us and we're gonna pick up Robertson and go see what the heck's going on. I don't say curses anymore because of a previous incident where the company fined me for cursing while on duty.
Robertson's coming too?
That's first preference, but we'll see what we can get.
Oh, this is going to be great. I'll throw on my aviators and walk with a bit more pep in my step.
Good choice, Hobbs. Good choice. Excellent. Excellent. Definitely one of the better pilots.
As I said, he does not abuse methamphetamines.
Correct. You noticed that. I'm very pleased that you keep track of such things.
It's literally my job. Klaus, it's literally my job.
Well, yes, it's your job, but that doesn't mean... never mind. It's okay, Hobbs. You're doing your best. Just keep walking, taking notes.
So, Robertson, you have this sort of scene play out in front of you where you work over the electrical near the cantina trying to find the issue. You resolve that you're going to have to just investigate it a little deeper at some point, but everything seems to be working at this point now. You get down out of the access panel and you turn and you sort of see three people walking towards you, and you realize that they're walking together, and that is not ideal.
I bury my face in my paperwork and I start walking back towards the bar area, trying to circumvent this cluster.
Klaus just steps out neatly in front of you to intercept. He's very good at that. Very practiced, just sort of smooth sidestep. Jackie, just the person we wanted to see. What a pleasure. It's so great that we ran into you instead of having to go looking. This is just, the universe is bringing us all together. Isn't that delightful?
Oh, what, did you visualize it?
Well, yes, actually. And look.
Hello, the three of you.
Got a thing off station, need a posse, and I want a tech that won't get me killed.
Okay. Did you clear that with Sven?
Comes from Sven.
All right, then.
Apparently I've got to bring you back in one piece.
Hi, Roberto.
Jimenez is going to throw his arm around Robertson. Odds of survival, I mean, with you as tech and me as pilot, I think we're golden, don't you?
I mean, we'll get whatever we need to get fixed, and we'll get wherever we're going.
Yeah, you're going to do great.
You too, bud.
It's in system. It's not bad. It's not that far.
Then why aren't you telling us what's wrong? Why are you waiting till we're somewhere private?
Because it's kind of important. And the walls have ears. It's like a field of corn. So we'll just go down to the Bison. Everybody get your gear bags, and I'll meet you all there.
Okay. Provided there are no objections, we'll advance the story to that position. We're going to make some assumptions. One, most of you will carry the gear that you would need on any sort of extra Roanoke space location, right? So the Bison has gear-wise suits, etc. There's rations on board. There's enough drinkable water. People will have their tools with them within reason. Obviously, characters who would normally carry firearms would have any sort of weapon access. So when you get to the Bison, the airlock for the Bison, you see something you did not expect at all. Actually, any of you didn't expect this. And that is the station manager, Sven, standing next to the airlock, like waiting.
Sven, good to see you. Come to see us off. Real hands-on kind of guy. Appreciate it. You're doing great work.
He gives you sort of a look, but he stays relatively genial. Yeah, we don't get a whole lot of missions out through the Bison, so I figured it'd be good to collect everybody and make sure that they have what they need before we go. He hands Hobbs a card container. Probably contains a data chip or something like that. Some sort of mission readout.
Yeah, he just accepts it and just gives a nod.
I trust that the deputy here has kept a tight lid on things.
Which has me concerned, sir.
I know. You've got good reason to be concerned, but I'm going to clear the air here now that we're all together. About 6 months ago, a ship came through Roanoke. Some of you will probably remember Midas. It's a 4-person crew. They were out doing scientific excavations and surveys. We got a notice by signal about an hour ago that their disaster beacon was going off. The big concern, of course, is that the ship is not only company property, but we need to make sure that we can respond to it promptly because we're the only ship available to do so. Comms are clear, but we haven't gotten any response from them, so it's possible that maybe somebody passed out, but they managed to fire off the disaster beacon before that happened. The Midas had 4 people, right? The Captain Goolsby, a geologist named Dr. Askew, a medic and electronics technician. What I can bring up and share with you is that they're a mineral survey ship with equipment necessary to mine samples from planets, moons, or even asteroids. They stopped here, as I mentioned, about 6 months ago. They went to the Sing Song store and purchased a working Joe. They were looking for some extra muscle. Rock is pretty heavy. From what we can see in ops, the transponder is working fine. Their comms appear to be working fine. The ship is about 0.1 parsecs away, so the journey's not going to take more than a day each way. He reaches down and hits the button for the airlock, and it begins sort of unconnecting, and that portal opens to the Bison. And this smell from the Bison comes into this space. It smells like a ship that probably hasn't been used in, 4 or 5 months. And so you get just sort of a different air quality there.
We get hazard pay for this?
Hazard pay. Everybody wants hazard pay. Yeah, sure.
All right then. Here we go. One step closer to retirement.
Can't believe you're thinking about retirement when you have so much good work ahead of you, Jackie. Klaus is wearing a flight suit, but it has been immaculately tailored because he cannot stand baggy clothes. And he just walks in after Jackie in his very neatly tailored suit.
For you, Jimenez, the Bison is a ship that you've flown before. You're pretty comfortable with her. A bit boxy around the edges, and the engines probably could, again, use an overhaul. But it's better than sitting on this fucking rock and doing nothing.
Absolutely. As we pass through the threshold, I will ostentatiously throw my arms out and say, well, everyone, welcome to the Tub Goat. Hope everyone has an enjoyable flight. Let's get things going. I'm going to try to wrinkle Klaus Wagner's flight sheet a bit as I clasp the arm.
That's a good question, Klaus. Your right shoulder gets ruffled a little bit, and you probably just, sort of consciously or subconsciously try to mentally even out the shoulders now because they're off.
No, very obviously doing it with a slight spasm of pain on his face.
You board the Bison. It gets closed off to Roanoke Station, and after some relatively reasonable movements from our pilot, you get decoupled from Roanoke Station, and you are floating in space now. Thus ends the prologue. All right, so I think we should start off with Act 1 as a piloting role. I just want to see how we do getting towards the Midas.
Understood.
A single success, yeah. You pilot away from Roanoke Station, laying a course based off of what Sven gave you. You would notice, Jimenez, that Hobbs would be probably likely on that cockpit area as well, probably feeding the computer information.
Very important question, Mike.
Yes.
Do we have a ship's cat?
You haven't seen one.
Klaus is probably looking for one.
Yeah, Hobbs is absolutely on the bridge, and he is reviewing whatever was on the card that he was given. Or do I have to go to the mother room?
I don't know that the Bison has one specific. It might be too small of a ship to support a mother. But the information therein, Hobbs gives you the basic breakdown of a lot of what Sven told you. It does also give you the location data and then the best approach for how to dock with the Midas, which the Bison will have to do to transfer you over.
Yeah, I'm just going to relay that to Jimenez. He's just going to say, these are the coordinates. Ship says best approach is this, but I trust your judgment.
Are you going to let us know what we're doing out here now, though?
Oh, yeah. No, it's literally what Sven told us. It's going to check out the ship, the Midas.
That's it?
That's it. Sorry, kid.
You made this sound so secret and so high speed.
It's a company ghost ship. He counts off on his fingers.
We can't have it getting out that there was a distress signal from a company ship and that there may not be any survivors. It really doesn't inspire confidence, and confidence is really what we need.
So I can't even tell anyone about this.
You can if you anonymize the information.
And we just can't have that because then it's lawsuits and additional paperwork, and it just costs a lot of money, Jimenez.
I hate everything about what you just said.
Yes, so do I. Lawsuits, loss of money, paperwork, lawyers.
The only thing even corpos hate.
Just relax, kid. I'll be fine. Maybe you can do some fancy flying around the Midas.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do some fancy flying around the dead ship. Yep. The completely silent dead ship. Not like the space station was any different. Sure, why not?
I'll know that you were awesome.
I'm going to put it to you this way. How many pilots get to say they went and investigated a creepy ghost ship?
I don't believe in ghost, Hobbs.
No, but that's a term.
That's a technical term. Jimenez. Technical term.
The ship's not a ghost. The ship is quite real.
I appreciate what you're trying to do. It's just not... It's fine. It's fine. This is fine.
I mean, sure, it could be something boring like, a failed air purifier, which meant that they all died of CO2 poisoning. Or it could be mysterious space mushrooms.
But we did confirm that they are all... Are they dead? Or is it...
Well, none of them are answering comms, so there's that.
First off, Hobbs, I've told you this. The mysterious space mushrooms are just a rumor that never actually happened. Officially, there is no documentation. It's just a rumor. Remember? Second off, there could be many reasons why they're not answering comms. Maybe there is a bug and it just looks like it's properly functioning or anything of that sort. Besides, there should be a Joe on board and we should be able to find out pretty quickly what happened. They're pretty reliable. We make the best Joes at Seegson.
Yeah, I love the Joes.
Oh, alternate possibility. The Joe went crazy and killed somebody.
That would be fun.
I've seen that more than you'd want to.
Seegson Joes never go crazy. They are not capable of going crazy.
Oh, they're capable of going crazy.
When malfunctions occur with a Joe, it's because the humans that are operating them are not following proper Seegson protocols. If you just follow the manuals, you'll be fine. We do not make defective product here at Seegson Corp.
So speaking of this, of piloting that is, of course, I'd like Jimenez to give us a piloting roll, a simple piloting roll, on his approach. This is probably something that Robertson would also know. They're likely going to have to do the umbilical connection to the Midas. So they'll also know that Jimenez will have to get them in the right location.
Hey.
Okay, so you have a material success that's really important given what else you rolled. So you are able to match course and speed. For those of you around Jimenez, he does not look panicked, but you certainly feel a few more dips and raises than you were prepared for. Hobbs, you have to hold on to the seat, and then the handle that's here to the side that is sort of like the old shit handle here in the cockpit, you end up having to grab it, and your knuckles get a little whiter than you were hoping for, but he eventually aligns with the Midas.
I pat Jimenez on the shoulder. Good work, good work. Maybe a little more practice on the way back, but, that wasn't too bad.
What do you mean? That was great fancy flying. Awesome job.
So that was intentional.
Absolutely.
With company property.
Yeah.
Klaus is noting undue risk-taking in his notes.
What are you writing down? What is that?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all.
I'm going to HR after this. I can guarantee it.
Puts the notebook back in his perfectly tailored flight suit.
Can I borrow your pen real quick?
No, company property. Can't let it out of my sight.
All right, so I'd like our roughneck to give us a heavy machinery roll to connect the two ships.
3 successes.
Oh, yeah. So this is like, this is super smooth and super easy. The connection is as if it was meant to be. The two portions of that umbilical airlock connect. Robinson locks them down and then pressurizes. And within a couple of minutes, you're going to be good to go. Alrighty. So connecting to the Midas is very smooth. Walking along that sort of space umbilical is always a little bit anxiety increasing. No matter how many times you do it, you're always thinking about just on the other side of this, there's the inky blackness of space that no living thing can exist in. And that does up the blood pressure a little bit. Not stress-inducing in this case, because so far everything's been nice and smooth. The Midas is an older, small M-class vessel, doesn't have all of the same facilities you can tell by just its shape and size. It's just not as large as the Bison. From the outside, it seems the ship has full power, though. So that is a huge benefit. You're not walking into a potentially dead vessel. While you're in the umbilical, I have an idea for Klaus.
Who is currently just picturing Heidi's face out in the dead emptiness of space and enjoying it very much.
Why don't you give me a wits observation roll, Klaus?
Ooh, okay. 3 successes.
You hear something as you're getting into the umbilical. You hear something from inside the Bison. It's a shift, a sound, a different noise. It's clearly something behind you.
Stop and turn to look back. Maybe it's just settling into the umbilical or something?
Not with 3 successes. With 3 successes, I'm going to presuppose a little bit here, and correct me if I'm wrong. Klaus is probably not necessarily first, but not necessarily last to come over.
Second to last.
Right. Jimenez, are you going to be last off the Bison then?
Yeah, I gotta make sure that everyone gets off safely. There's still a little bit of academy training, I guess.
Yeah, so Klaus, you recognize the form, because you work with them on a regular basis, of Grace McGafferty, sort of slink out from one of the, we'll say, storage compartments on the Bison.
That bitch.
She straightens her uniform a little bit, steps over towards the umbilical.
We got company.
Well, someone has to make sure that things go okay here.
Pleasure as always, Grace, to see you, although I don't think you were actually invited along on this mission. What a coincidence that you're here in space with us.
At this point, Jimenez, you turn around and see someone who's really easy on the eyes for you, and that's Grace. Shared drinks and talked about some of the stuff that Hyperdyne has going on, the company that she works for. And you find it a little strange that somehow she found her way on the Bison without anybody knowing, but here she is.
Grace, pleasure to see you.
Hey, Rob. She shortens your name with an affectionate tone.
Hi, how, sorry, I just weren't expecting this was supposed to be a dull mission, honestly, and to find you here is a little bit, makes things a little more exciting.
Well, good. I'm sure that we'll find something interesting on board.
And what is Hyperdyne doing on a mission for Seegson property, Grace?
Oh, you didn't think the crew of the Bison just worked for you?
Slow blink.
They're available to take contracts from all sorts of people.
Still not your property, Grace.
Ooh, we've got some poaching happening. So, and Jackie sort of walks backwards through the rest of the umbilical, points at Grace and Roberto and says, if you guys go off to find somewhere a little private, have fun, I got work to do. Like, points her thumbs over her shoulders, points at Klaus and says, don't kill anybody.
I have never killed in my life, Jackie. Anyone. Ever.
Hops has stuck his head back in after hearing the commotion, and he's just like, Grace, pleasure to see you?
Deputy.
Grace, did you spend 12 plus hours in one of the closets of this damn bucket?
Oh, no. Multiple closets.
Okay.
I'm perfectly happy to be out of the closet now. Thank you.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, it makes life a bit better for everybody to be out of the closet. All right, well, don't go causing trouble.
Wouldn't think of it. You're in charge, Deputy. Lead on.
I hate that they put me in fucking charge of this shit. But you know what? It's a chance.
I mean, personally, I love it. Go on.
He's just like, right, well, go on, Robertson. Let's crack open that door. So let's decide protocol. Here's protocol that we wear hard suits while boarding an unknown ship whose lights are on, but we don't know about anything else.
I think it's probably reasonable to assume that you might go in with helmets on just because You don't know what the environmental variables are on that.
I'm like, well, at least until we find the crew, then we'll know what's up.
I don't want to color perceptions or decisions. You do you.
We've all seen contamination, so we're going to wear our spacesuits going into the mystery ghost spaceship.
I mean, yeah, you're the one that brought up space fungus, so...
Which is not actually real. It's a rumor. A malicious rumor.
How many fringe planets have you worked on, Klaus? How many vents have you crawled through and found something moving that really shouldn't be moving? Like rats. Have you ever seen a mutated rat?
Yes, her name is Heidi.
Harsh. I'm gonna put my suit on.
So the airlock's connected, and as you move further back towards the Midas, Hobbs, you notice that the internal airlock here on the Midas is opening.
Oh, fuck. He's just going to run down and, like, slam door close on the Bison end. Over the radio, he'll explain, Midas's door is opening. I'm just going to real quick seal the airlock.
Okay. You seal it up. The Midas door fully opens. You can see through a couple of the very small available windows here, these little ports on the Bison. You can see into a vehicle bay. The room is really big. It spans the width of the ship. Looks like there are access doors on either side to load and unload vehicle. Hobbs, you'd see an 8-wheeled tractor in here, equipped with towing for a large drilling rig, which appears on its trailer. There's also a 2-person gyro car. Door on the left. Not sure where it goes, but there's one on the left there. And then there are 2 doors on the right side wall. They go somewhere as well. Unknown where they go. And then there's a small elevator door in here.
All right, I'm going to come aboard and close the door behind me.
Okay, so are you purposefully not letting other people in with you?
Oh, I had just, like, since I had closed our end of the umbilical when this thing opened, I was thinking maybe I had been stuck in the umbilical on my own, but there's other people in the umbilical. In that case, I'm like, all right, come on in, come on.
I thought you were going to leave me behind, buddy.
No, he thinks we're space vampires and we have to be invited in.
Oh.
I saw those paperbacks under your bed. Heath just saunters in.
Y'all got something to talk about there? I'm just going to be over that way.
You are in a this sort of main space. The airlock opens and you're in that big vehicle bay. Again, there are a couple of doors here that lead out of this room. It looks like there's an elevator. It looks like there's 2 doors on one part of the room, and then there's one to the right. It does look a little dirty here in the vehicle bay. There's like granules of rock and whatnot around the drill piece. The drilling implement looks like it hasn't been cleaned, Robertson, which is a little strange. Normally they're cleaned before they're stowed. So you're sort of a little concerned about what the crew is up to.
Yeah, I'm gonna clamber up and take a look at that. I'm gonna want to clean it. Maybe I almost compulsively start doing so, but I at least want to take a look at the settings to make sure that it was at least shut off correctly.
So you go towards the drill and reasonably so begin inspecting the piece visually. From where the drill is, you get a better look now at the airlock that it's nearby, or I should say the door that it's nearby. It's not an airlock. Internal door that it's nearby. Again, the lighting in this room, not the best. At least not yet. It looks like while the ship has power, this space is about at a third or half light. Nearby that drill, there is a door that had in really, really big spray painted black lettering. It says, "Don't open, Joe inside."
Hey guys, looks like I was right. That working Joe went crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. User error. User error occurred.
User errors account for 98% of all Joe malfunctions.
What about the other 2%?
Atmospheric conditions.
Grace comes up behind you, Deputy, and in a voice that is honey sweet, she says, "Not the sort of stuff that Hyperdyne does. This is clearly a Sieg Song problem."
Oh, Sieg Song. Just moisture issues, you know.
Always wet, Jackie says as she sort of comes up behind and goes back over to look at the door. Says, that wasn't meant to be awkward at all, by the way.
I appreciate you being comfortable enough to start making jokes, Jackie. That's progress in our relationship, Klaus says as he's examining the door.
Klaus, don't go opening that door. I'm still in charge here. Don't go opening that door. It's got a Joe inside, and folks don't lock him up unless they go crazed.
User error. And there don't appear to be any users, he says, looking around.
That may be part of the issue.
Okay, so what are folks doing?
I am going to make my way to the bridge.
Okay. Make your way to the bridge. Now, to get to the bridge, you're likely thinking that there is a door that should be, roughly speaking, it should be the other one here, you would think. Down from the storage shore that's marked. That's likely the way towards the bridge. Probably also the sleeping spaces.
Yeah, I've been on enough ships that I'm like, yeah, it's probably this one.
Okay. Yeah, so there's no lock on it or mechanic roll required to open it. The door from the vehicle bay opens to a wide hallway with 3 doors on either side. You're likely thinking you'd walk the length of the ship to get to where the bridge is. But you will pass several doors along the way.
Because we didn't get any response to our hails or anything, I'm actually going to... Are these doors all closed?
Seemingly, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna... So, we're at the top of the corridor still.
Yep.
I will try the doors, see if I can, first knock on them, and then... This is Deputy Hobbs. I'm here from the station. Do you guys, any folks here? Anybody around?
Call out and then open one of the doors to your right or to your left. These 2 appear empty. Looks like they're empty crew quarters. There's nothing inside of them. They seemed even stripped of any sort of readiness to be a quarter.
Yeah, company's been stripping back crew on the expeditionary front. Had enough trouble with the guys that lose their jobs.
You continue up to the next set?
Yep.
Okay. Right or left as you walk towards the bridge?
I'll go with left first.
Ooh, left. So you open here, and it looks like this is maybe a bedroom of somebody who's focused on the sciences. You see a lot of, there's a plaque on the wall. You see Dr. Askew's name. And you see a photo of a family. Looks like a family photo was taken, maybe the doctor with their parents. But there's not much more than that. This room is definitely used, though.
Is the bed made?
No.
He's just any papers and stuff, he's just I don't know enough about science to get anything out of these. I might come back later if I'm stuck.
So stepping over to the right-hand side, this room has been tossed. You see a personal tablet on the bed, and it looks like it has some sort of fluid on it. It's a clear fluid.
Clear fluid? No. Well, Joe's have milk. Yeah, I'm going to kind of wipe it with the bed sheet. Yeah, I'm not touching that thing with my suit. Gross.
Okay, so you're inspecting some quarters. What's everybody else doing?
I'm at the door that says don't open, and I'm gonna tap on it to see if anything responds, because if the Joe is in working order and not completely deactivated, he should respond. And that's company property, so if he's still in there, I need to get him out.
You tap on the door, and after probably 15 seconds or so, you hear a relatively monotone voice say, "Hello?
Joe, state your ID number."
620. Who is this?
Klaus Wagner from Siegson.
Oh.
State your purpose.
I'm a working Joe assigned to the Midas to assist with sample recoveries, soil and rock.
Why is the Midas currently deactivated?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened.
Why are you in confinement, Joe?
The crew, they were afraid.
Afraid of what?
They said something was on the ship.
Did you see anything? Report any abnormality.
I believe I am damaged.
Damaged? Please clarify.
I'm having a difficult time remembering why I am here.
Klaus mutters, sounds like user error to me. And he says, deactivate temporarily. We will assess your situation when we can get to you. Conserve power.
Affirmative. You turn around and Grace is standing there sort of with her arms folded.
Klaus is tapping his pen on his nose.
Another corporate mistake.
Yes, you are. Thank you for noticing. Something on the ship, apparently. Perhaps something in the minerals. Air contamination.
Fascinating. She makes a note on her pad.
What are you really doing here, Grace?
I'm making sure that our investment stays intact. Just like you.
Your investment. And what would that be exactly?
Well, Hyperdyne's investment. And that is none of your business.
Oh, well, considering you're on Seekson property at the moment, which is not licensed out to your company, it seems to be very much my business, Grace.
I'm sure you can take it up with Sven.
Oh, did Sven send you? Interesting.
Jimenez, Robertson, what are you up to?
Just tailing Robertson, seeing the lay of the land.
Robertson is probably looking for... I'm torn between just going right for the engine room or going towards the sort of main hub of the ship to see if there's records or logs that can help me figure out where to start.
Yeah, so you'd know as a roughneck, given your rough sort of layout of every ship, there's going to be a couple places where information is going to be key, right? One will be either the bridge, that's where all of the, likely most of the technical data will be stored at, or the elevator there that is in this room goes to an upper deck, and that could have a science pod on it, that could have a mechanics bay, that could have any sort of additional technical resource that the ship might use. And so you probably have to look around a little bit more than just the vehicle bay.
All right, let's start with the bridge. And if I have to go past Hobbs to do that, that's fine. I let him do the security thing. Good on him for doing that. And I go to do my job.
Certainly. So walking past where Hobbs is investigating one of these rooms, you pass a door on your left before you get to the bridge. This door is off its track in a bad way. It's okay. It's like it was forced open. It's like something pulled it apart. And you can see just through the lighting in the hallway that it looks like this room is an utter wreck.
Hobbs, have you looked at this one yet?
No, I haven't gotten to it. What's up?
Looks like someone forced their way in. Door's ruined.
He kind of pauses and he's like, do you mean a pneumatic void-proof door is ruined?
Yep.
Oh, Christ.
Like someone's crew quarters. So I will let you deal with that. And I'm gonna deal with the other thing. Holler if you need us. You want to keep Jimenez?
What you want to do, kid? You want to stay with me? Or you want to go check out the bridge? I'm currently tossing rooms.
My job was basically done, so I'm available for support wherever.
In the suit, you can't see his shoulders going, but you do hear the dry chuckle over the radio, just like, Jimenez, your job's not done until I'm back on the station.
Well, yeah, but it's on. We'll say I'm on extended lunch break right now, so anywhere I can be help. I mean, look for learning new things.
Look, you're better with the ship systems than I am. If I'm honest with you, I don't know how to access I don't know how the file structures work. You might be best served on the bridge, having a look there.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Okay. Jimenez with me. Hobbs, scream, because we will hear you in here. And moves on.
Okay. You continue to move up towards the bridge. So the two of you pass into the galley. So the galley here has been the site of something. Food fight really isn't even the word for it. There's trays overturned. There's desiccated food strewn about. There's a styrofoam cup sort of leaning on its side off the table. This is clear evidence of a struggle. There's a ladder in this room that leads up, and then the door across the room there says bridge.
Hobbs, she says over comms, when you're done with that, there was something in the galley area. Definitely a physical struggle of some sort. Maybe why our Joe got locked up.
I feel like I'm just going to come check on that. I think the rooms aren't going anywhere.
You're not going to go in the scary room first. You're going to come in here where we've already been.
He's kind of like, well, for one thing, you've just described something happened that wasn't actually particularly helpful. 2, you might still die before I get there.
It's true. I am a damsel, but I'm not yet in distress.
Come on, Robertson, I need you to hold it together. You're the heart of this crew.
Oh no, come quickly.
It's funny because Robertson can actually kick my ass.
You bet. So are you going to pass by the room with the door off its track then, Hobbs?
Is there anything I can do to kind of get in there? I mean, if it's off the track.
You could certainly try, Deputy.
I can give you a strength roll.
Not necessary. Just the means and the desire to do so is enough.
Oh, means and desire. I got plenty of those. I got this death wish of mine. Got it from a guy called Bronson.
Indeed you do. So for environmental note for Klaus, Grace goes down the elevator in the vehicle bay, disappears from view.
Well, I'm going to follow her.
Okay.
Can't leave them wandering around company property. That's just asking for intellectual property theft. Or material property theft, knowing Grace.
Yeah, certainly. And it wouldn't be because Klaus has been left alone.
No, definitely not. It's not like he doesn't like being alone in dark places at all.
Certainly not. So, Hobbs, you get into these quarters, the door that's completely off its track. The room is an utter wreck. A major struggle happened here. The table's been overturned, a chair has been tossed. It looks like someone punched a hole in the bed, but the saving grace in this room is that there is a computer terminal in here.
God, I hate these things. All right. He's going to awkwardly kind of stand in front of it in the bulky suit, and he's just going to these gloves are, oh, well, it's an 80s keyboard. It's fine. I can still type on it. So he starts punching glyphs and picts.
Sure. It's a Comtech roll.
1 success.
So it does look like Captain Goolsby has locked Mother down. So you don't get it unlocked, but you do get to all of the informational menus that shows that the captain of the Midas has locked Mother out. So that way she can't be used.
Yeah, I'm going to relay that to the rest of the crew. Just quick heads up, crew. Previous captain of this fine vessel had locked out Mother access, so she's off the board. Might be able to restore it, but I'm not going to be the one that knows how to do that.
You just hear Klaus muttering over the comms, user error.
So Robinson and Jimenez, you guys get to the bridge. You open that door. You see a form of a man, longer, blonde hair, flight suit, no helmet. And then he seems to be laying back in the chair. His eyes are closed.
I walk over and poke his face.
Ooh. He shudders and jumps. Holy shit. He sits up in his chair and you see his eyes are bloodshot. His cheeks are a little sunken in. Oh, wow. Sorry. I don't know when I passed out.
Hello, I am Jackie Robertson of the Roanoke that you guys went through a few months ago.
Wow, I am really glad to see you.
What happened?
We had a serious problem on this ship. They're going to call it user error, but that's a bunch of bullshit. They've got a problem with one of their machines. You look over at the panels on the bridge here, Jackie, and you can see that they've been beaten on. It looks like someone tried to smash them with their hands.
Is that why your working Joe is all locked up?
Yeah. Needs to stay that way too, till we can figure out what the issue is. I don't have the kind of diagnostic equipment I probably need to get into his programming here, but got to be real careful.
And what's your name?
Leslie.
Leslie? All right. Switches on. Do we need to directly say our comms are on, or can everybody hear what I'm saying?
No, people can hear what you say.
Okay. You get that, Klaus?
User error. Just disappearing after Grace.
Yeah, speaking of, do me a favor, Klaus, and why don't you roll... Yeah, we'll say it's an agility roll. Agility and mobility seems reasonable for stealth. I don't know if stealth's been done any other way.
So I've got 3 total in that. I still get 1 6. 6, 5, and 3.
Okay. So you head down into what looks like a big cargo bay. Not the vehicle bay that you were in, but a big cargo bay. And there are no lights on down here. When you step out of the elevator, a couple of lights sort of begin to raise, but they don't raise more than, say, 20 or 30%. And what you don't see is any sign of Grace.
Interesting. Also, I don't like this. It's very quiet down here.
It is.
I haven't been alone for 3 months.
So what are you doing?
Gonna have a look around, see if I can figure out where she might have gone. I assume there's a headlight or something with my helmet that I can use to...
Yeah, there's an awful lot of cargo space. It's possible these are just motion lights here on this space, and maybe she got down here and made a move deeper, more towards the front end of the ship.
So I will do some exploring then. Keep an eye out for her movements. Make sure she didn't sneak anything. But also make sure there's nothing down here that could be a problem. Too many shadows.
There are an awful lot of shadows, but there are also a lot of containers. So there are things down here in the sense that there are, looks like rows and rows of geological sample data from multiple different planets. This is important cargo. This is likely most of what your company would have paid them to do. And so these are assets. It means that the Midas has to come back to Roanoke.
And I'm going to then go into work mode, and that will help distract from the dark and the alone. But also, if the mother is shut down, I have no way of knowing if they properly cataloged everything, and I need to make sure that what is here gets back and doesn't disappear. Grace. So I'm going to start cataloging things.
Okay. You begin cataloging things. Are you working your way just from the front to the back where the elevator is? Or are you starting here and working towards the front and then coming back?
Starting here and working towards the front is the most efficient way, because then I can walk back towards the elevator and also see if I missed anything at the same time.
Yeah, so the Midas, we'll say, is probably, I'm just going to throw this number out there, it may or may not be right. We'll say that it's about 100 meters or so long, give or take. And so you get into work mode, and it does help center your mind and sort of give yourself something to focus on. You get about halfway through this portion when I'm going to have you make a wits observation roll for me.
Okay. Only 1 success.
Okay, one's enough. You hear what sounds like a cat meowing in the distance.
I'm going to go find the cat.
You go and find the cat. You pay very close attention to the sound of where this cat might be coming from. And eventually you locate a tuxedo black cat on one of the container pods looking down on you. And it seems to be just giving a very simple look over, looking you over, and seeing your suit, and it seems to be staring and eventually meows at you.
I'm going to do the pss, pss, pss and try to get it to come over to me because Klaus loves cats.
You sort of do that through the helmet and then think, I wonder if the cat can hear me.
Yeah, he doesn't think about that until he's already done it. And then he tries to do the crouching down to look like less of a threat sort of thing and try to gesture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you end up coaxing the cat down off of the container and eventually closer towards you where you could pick the cat up if you wanted to.
I do want to pick it up. I want to pick up the cat, Mike.
You pick up the cat. When you pick up the cat, you hear a sound at the other end, the end you came from, and it's the sound of the elevator actuating up.
Maybe there's crew here after all, other than... Because we did hear Jackie talking over the comms, right? So we know there's someone here. Does the cat have a collar with like a name?
Nope, no collar.
Just going to say good kitty and carry the kitty over to the elevator.
You begin the more like 50 or so meter walk back towards the elevator. Hobbs, you have a live one in the cockpit, it seems.
Ah, Christ. All right. I'm going to leave the captain's computer. Maybe I'll get Jimenez to go through it later. See if I can find some dirt, find some explanations to what the hell's going on. I still got that tablet on me, if nothing else. I haven't read it yet, but I've got it. I'm going to make my way up. I'm just going to radio ahead. Robertson, I'm on my way up. What condition's this guy in?
He's alive. You can ask him yourself in a couple minutes. I'm not a doctor.
Ask him, does the ship have a doctor?
You know, if your doctor's still alive, your medic.
Leslie looks down a little bit at the floor. Yeah, unfortunately not. I'm the last one here, as far as I know.
You haven't been real clear about, like, what exactly happened. You just keep saying, like, malfunctions and, like, it's not user error. You look like shit, by the way. I've been really holding it in, and I feel like you really should exposit more. Like, why do you look like shit? What happened on the ship?
I don't have any cool aviator sunglasses to hang around my head. But I'll put it to you like this. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and our working Joe malfunctioned. The rest of my crew is up in cryo. One of them is missing their head.
And the insinuation is that the Joe did this?
Insinuation?
Listen, I'm not here to accuse anybody of anything. I'm just trying to get facts at this point. Again, you look like shit.
That's when the suited form of Hobbs makes it onto the bridge.
Leslie, this is our deputy, currently in charge. And Menez, from what I've seen, generally the working Joe is more likely to do stuff like this than someone going crazy from looking out into the black of the abyss of space.
Yeah, listen, I don't know what happened to that Joe, but it went berserk. And then all of a sudden it would be calm again. And then it hunted me through this ship. And so I managed to land a couple of reasonable hits on the thing with some of the mining equipment. And I must have jarred some of its circuitry, I don't know. While it was passed out, I did whatever I could to pull it into that cargo storage we have, and then I locked the door. And I came up here and I found that it smashed half of the cockpit. I barely was able to get the emergency distress beacon off. And then I've been holed up here. He sort of waves his hands around the cockpit, the floor of it, and you're finally noticing that, like, there are rations in here and, like, tankards of water and stuff like that. And then there's, like, another tankard in here, and you don't want to know what's in that. It's been pretty clear that he's made the cockpit sort of like his de facto home. And he looks really rough. And so he turns to Jimenez and says, yeah, I look like shit, but I'm alive.
And you did great.
On a more practical note, I need a report on your ship systems. What's working, what's not?
We're going to need a tow. I can tell you that. He sort of again waves his hands to the cockpit controls. I would have piloted us back if any of it had worked. I'm lucky there's nothing out in front of us to ram into.
The rest of your systems, life support, etc., all fine?
They all seem to be functioning.
All right, folks. We're safe to take the suits off. And he just cracks the visor. And then he gets the whiff of the cockpit, and he's just like, oh!
Yeah, this is probably not one of a top 10 smell for you.
It is not. I've been in a drunk tank. Jesus. Oh.
Klaus, you come up from the cargo area in the hold of the ship, and you see something that is a little shocking. In fact, it's a little stress-inducing, actually. So you're going to take a point of stress for seeing this.
Okay.
The door, the cargo bay door that was once closed, is now open. And Grace is having a conversation face-to-face with a working Joe. This working Joe's hands and feet, like the boots that it wears, are covered in blood. And as the elevator door opens, she sort of turns around to you and then turns back to the Joe and says, and how long have you been working for Siegson? And the Joe says, oh, just a few months since commissioning. Well, hi, Klaus.
Grace? Joe? Operating number?
620, as reported before.
So how did you get out? Grace?
Oh, Grace sort of genuflects a little bit, covers her chest. Well, it seemed terrible just to lock him in there.
Hardly your call, Grace. Petting the cat as I'm talking and looking at the Joe.
But yeah, you do take a point of stress for seeing such a sight. The working Joe has not left the sort of threshold, although it is standing now in the cargo bay door area so that you couldn't actually shut the door without shutting it on him.
So what's Hyperdyne's interest here, Grace? Bit of sabotage? Checking in on the results of your labors?
Again, I'm certain that Sven can clue you in should he so choose.
Convenient. Considering he's not here.
Isn't it?
Joe, state the nature of your malfunction.
He looks at you and turns, and when he opens his mouth, an audible, high-pitched sound comes out. It is not intelligible, other than to say that it sounds like the best thing to acute it to for everybody in the ship, because everyone will hear it, is about a 60 to 90 decibel fire alarm. It's like a klaxon sound he makes. And then you watch him sort of twitch, and you watch his fingers, which are covered in blood, also twitch.
Well, at this point, Klaus is, one, still in his suit, and two, kind of convinced that Hyperdyne has caused some sabotage to the working Joes, and that's why Grace is here. So he totally thinks this is all Grace's fault and she's doing something.
This is a sound that the rest of the crew, or the rest of the crew of the Bison, would hear throughout the ship.
Robertson immediately goes and closes the doors to the cockpit that we're in, turns around and says, I vote that we consider Klaus dead and figure out what to do next.
You know I can hear you. That's not very friendly, Robertson. Really, I thought we had a rapport going over the sound of the screaming.
For the record, we didn't touch anything.
No, I think Grace did. Hyperdyne. Can't trust him.
Always easier to blame the external source than the internal problem. She points her pen at you.
Look, Grace, you showed up on my company's property without permission from the company, and you are very reticent to tell us what's actually going on and why you're here, so naturally I can only assume that you are part of my problem. Still petting the cat.
If only I cared. She heads back up towards the cockpit.
You guys are doing great. You guys are both pretty. I just need. Can we turn the alarm off? Is it an actual alarm, or did we trigger something?
For you, Klaus, the working Joe shuts their mouth, and suddenly the alarm stops.
That was very enlightening. Thank you, Joe 620. Does the Joe respond?
It does not.
So is it just kind of almost like in shutdown mode standing there, or?
Yeah, it seems to be still, its eyes are open. It's still looking around. You can see that there is a discoloration on the back of its neck. It looks like there's a gash back here. And there is, as you get a better look at Joe 620, there is a stream of sort of this milky white fluid that runs down the back of its neck and the suit that it's in.
So the malfunction is obviously because it's been damaged. User error. That's what Klaus is thinking. So, Robertson, there's been actual damage to this Joe unit, which I suspect is the source of the malfunction. I am looking at an actual injury.
It's not a person. It can't be injured.
Oh, come on, Robertson. Have a little human kindness.
Huh. Well, Leslie, did you give the Joe a good 50 whacks or anything like that?
50. I got 2 in before the thing tried to saw me in half. I'm really, really lucky that I was able to put the thing down temporarily, because clearly it's just temporary. So that piece of equipment, that malfunction, why don't you tell whoever it is that's here from Siegsong the thing to shut the thing down now.
Klaus, can you put it in hibernate or shut it down currently? Or I'm not that kind of tech.
Is there a mechanism or something that I would know, Mother?
Yeah, I would say that you would likely know a sort of a hibernation command, provided you could get the Joe to respond to you. You could probably get it to hibernate.
Okay. Joe 620, respond.
It opens its eyes again, almost mechanically smooth as it looks over at you. 620 reporting.
I'll give it the hibernate command, which I assume is a string of numbers and letters that nobody else can use.
Right. You have to give it the command and then give it basically a Siegsong access code, which after you do, it stands sort of oddly at attention and just sort of slumps a little bit afterwards.
Joe 620 has been deactivated, having a nice long nap. So I'll be right up. Leslie, what's your cat's name, by the way?
Cat?
Yeah, there's a cat down here.
Not my cat.
Oh, well, I guess he's mine now.
Any of your other crew members have a cat?
I think, if memory serves correctly, he sort of looks up. We were on a planet and with a couple other crews that were working back and forth on some mineral deposits, and I think one of them might have bartered for a cat. It gets real lonely up here, and the cat is entertainment at best. It's not mine, but maybe Dr. Askews?
Well, I'm sure that per company policy, Klaus will see that the animal is taken care of and given a good home and given a proper medical checkup. Right, Klaus?
Oh, yes. Seeing as this is an orphaned feline aboard company ship, it seems like he's now a company cat.
Well, listen, do whatever you want with the cat. Leslie turns to you, Hobbs, and says, can we get back to Roanoke? Someplace, anywhere but here?
I'll take you back and should have little to no issue. We'll just have to quarantine the ship for a little while, I think, but you'll be back at the station.
Okay, I hope you got a strong stomach, Deputy.
I've seen things you wouldn't believe, friend. You guys can stay here. I'll hop up. He just gestures towards the ladder and he's like, up there?
Yeah, up there.
I'll go with you.
Sure.
Jimenez, keep an eye down here.
See if you can access the ship systems. And he just stops as he's walking away and he's like, one more thing. Why is Mother locked out?
I did it as a preventative measure. We can unlock Mother anytime you want. As long as that thing in back is shut down.
Oh, he's shut down. Why don't we go have a chat with Mother then? Klaus says over the comms.
Sure.
Hobbs is looking at him. He's like, as I said, he had the visor up. It's now down again. It actually went down almost instantly. And he's like, Christ, I can still smell it in the suit. The captain of the Midas put her in lockdown, right?
Yep. At my recommendation.
Oh, no, because you just said that you locked it down.
Yeah, well, a lot of things were happening all at the same time.
What is your position on the ship, Leslie?
I'm a Comtech specialist.
Was that listed, Mother, was that listed in the list that Sven gave us when we left? Okay, I missed that then.
Leslie is as a member of the crew. That's what's listed.
Okay, want to make sure there wasn't an extra person.
Nope, no extra person. It is just electronics technician is all Leslie is listed as.
Got it, thank you.
And I'm heading to the mother room while all of this is going on.
Okay. Well, you have to head to like a bedroom, basically, where Mother is. John, you're heading up to Cryo?
That's the plan, yeah.
So we'll move camera up with Robertson and Hobbs to check out Cryo. The Cryo room really is only going to stand about 3 or 4 people. Inside the Cryo room, there are 4 total tubes, 3 of which are used. It doesn't take you very long to get a good look at what's going on inside the cryo tank storage and tubes here. There are 3 dead bodies inside these tubes. And so you're going to take a point of stress for each body that you see, and then we'll give you a little explanation therein. Captain Goolsby, it appears anyway, from the ligature marks around his neck, was strangled, and fairly effectively. She also has blood all around her neck that isn't hers. That is fairly evident because there's no actual skin break around the neck, but there are basically trails of bloody fingerprints around her neck.
Say as if she was strangled by someone with bloody hands.
Yeah, perhaps. You see that there is the body of Dr. Askew, and what you see from the body of Dr. Askew starts at sort of the stump of the doctor's neck as he's headless. And then the medical assistant that was aboard, which your log's deputy would list as someone called Stroud, his neck is broken. That is very clear. It slumps over at like a 45-degree angle, and there's clear spine breakage and also a collection of bloody fingerprints around his neck. So yeah, you're both up 3 stress for that.
Why did you bother putting 3 dead bodies in cryo?
Oh, you drugged Leslie up here?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if they would be dead or not. I mean, where else am I going to put them?
Headless!
Yes, I realize that. I've got eyes.
One of them has an obviously broken neck and the other one's clearly strangled. Her eyes are literally popping out of her head.
You understand right now, you look like a psychopath.
He looks completely lost for words. What are my other options?
Put him out in space. Leave him in a locked room.
Do you know the amount of pay doc I take for not bringing back crew members?
I understand now. All right, you're good.
So the cryotubes were the best place for them because they wouldn't decompose.
Sure. And you're telling us that the Joe did all this, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he puts his hands out, ungloved hands out towards you. There's no dirt or blood under my fingernails.
No, of course not. There's one line that's been bouncing through Hobbs's head this whole time. And that is Grace saying, "We've got people on the ship too." And he's just like, sure would be completely new if a comm specialist that happened to be a Hyperdyne Systems guy uploaded something into, I don't know, the Working Joe shut down Mother so she couldn't override the Working Joe, and then had the Working Joe kill everyone else. That is a distinct possibility.
It might be a compelling hypothesis, Deputy, but where's your evidence?
He's like, oh yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
So down in the room where Mother is, Klaus, you're waiting, I guess, for someone to unlock Mother. You're sitting in a room with a cat. The room has been torn apart. The bed has a hole punched in it. And then after a few minutes, after what goes on in cryo, Leslie comes back down and sort of pushes the door a little bit to the side and then steps in. He walks up to Mother and taps on the console and then says, "Mother, this is crew member Leslie Frazier. Unlock sequence Alpha 11 Omega 5. And you see like the entire console brighten the room all at once, like someone turned on a Christmas tree. She's all there.
I can take it from here, thank you, Leslie.
Oh, you don't think I'm leaving this room, do you?
Well, it would be in your best interest, Leslie.
I don't think so. I'll take the pay doc as necessary. I'm not going to have you fabricate something while you're in here.
Me fabricate something? Leslie, I'm hurt. I say, petting the cat.
You're also a company man, which means you're here to protect your bottom dollar.
Well, aren't we all?
You don't want anybody else to know that one of your Joes freaked out, killed 3 people, and had me listless in here for 5 months.
Yes, well, trying to get to the bottom of all that happened, you know, Leslie. Trying to figure out just exactly how that occurred. That's all.
Sure.
So we can get you back to Roanoke and have you shipshape in no time.
Sounds perfectly fine. He sits down on the bed next to the hole. This is my room after all, so go ahead.
And Klaus will just turn to Mother. Does the Mother system connect to security cameras, that kind of thing?
If there are security cameras present, yep.
Would I know if there were security cameras on the ship, it being a company ship?
You'd know that likely the cargo bay has some, at least a camera or 2. You would likely know that there is a camera in the cockpit, and you'd likely know that the vehicle bay itself, because it goes in and out, would also have a camera.
So I'll ask Leslie for the date when he says everything went wild. Mother, display video camera footage from X date.
Yeah, you begin to wheel back in time through all of the camera logs. And there is a definitive issue as soon as you begin that process. Mother itself, the unit, begins to have issues. It's like watching a computer system search for files that aren't there. And it slowly begins to show you there's an enormous pattern gap in its memory bank. Being a company representative, it's probably something you've seen on reports before. What you're going to need is basically a more powerful computer to diagnose the information. You can make me a contact roll if you'd like to attempt to determine if what other information you might be able to find.
2 successes on that. But I rolled a 1 on my stress die. So what does that do?
Okay, so you rolled a 1 on your stress die. Basically what happens is it removes any successes that you may have gotten, and then you have to make basically a panic roll. And so you roll a d6 and you add your current stress level to it, and you tell me what you get.
2.
Okay, so 6 or less is that you keep it together. And basically what that means is that you're frustrated, stressed out, etc. about the current situation, and it could be from a myriad of reasons, but you don't do something that is bad for you or the rest of the crew at this point. I'll inject a little narrative for you, and you can take it as you like it, and that is, without a proper record, you can't corroborate that it's user error, and that is a huge problem for you.
So, do I think, just based on my experience, that it looks like pieces were removed, or that Mother is just not capable of processing certain sections? Does it look redacted, or just a computer error, essentially?
It looks like, at this point to you, it looks like computer error.
Okay.
It's possible that the Apollo system on Roanoke Station, given that it's more powerful than what's here in the Midas, would be able to do the trick. But you're going to have to talk to Sven about utilizing a resource that is essentially a station resource, not a company resource, and that will mean some social finagling on your end.
Well, we can cross that ship's bridge when we come to it. So I'll just look at Leslie and why did you shut down the computer to begin with? Why did you turn Mother off? Seems a bit self-defeating, considering she could have potentially gotten you back to Roanoke.
To be perfectly honest, I thought the Joe was fucking with it.
What gives you that idea?
What gives me that idea? This whole bullshit started with your Joe unit deciding it would be, I don't know, judge, jury, and executioner over what was going on.
If the Joe was malfunctioning, the way you describe it is highly unlikely that Joe 620 would have been able to access Mother properly, considering the Joe was unable to speak or give authorization codes.
You know, the whole mess starts in the cockpit. You chase the captain out of the cockpit.
Chased?
Mm-hmm. Chased. You ever been chased by a synth?
Can't say that I have.
I don't recommend it. When Dr. Askew tried to get in the way and tried to stop Joe 620 from doing something terrible, it punched his head off.
Can you recollect any potential triggering events?
We were flying through space just fine. On to the next drop. No issue. The Joe had worked on 2 or 3 different planets. No issue. In fact, 620, before all this bullshit started, was a reasonable member of the crew. Took orders from the captain as necessary, and myself and others. Was a top-of-the-line piece that we'd purchased from Siegsong at Roanoke Station. After that, something snapped. I don't know.
What did you bring with you from the last planet you excavated before heading to the next drop? It's potential there was some kind of contaminant. Looking down at the cat. It's highly
Outside of
unlikely
war,
that
that
a
cat.
ship's cat could cause such a malfunction, but I'll keep that under advisement, thank you.
You want to see what that Joe did? Just like your friends, stop up to the cryo tubes. You get all the panoramic shot you need.
I've got a general idea. I think I'm good, thanks.
What's everybody else doing?
I'd like to read the tablet that had the clear stuff on it.
Certainly. So you go to check out the tablet, and to get into it, you'll need to make a Comtech roll. That is Comtech -2, because the tablet is encrypted.
Yeah, so I roll 1 normal die and 3 panic die because the 2 come from the normal dice pool and my panic dice remain the same.
You bet you do.
2 successes. I'm just like, don't worry, I've seen one of these before.
You get the tablet unlocked, but the files are unreadable.
Oh, God damn it.
Like visually, like the tablet itself is like you can't read them because there's a tablet problem. You're likely going to have to get it to a different computer.
Like Jimenez, just plug it in, set it up so I can read the contents.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm just going to go across to him on the bridge and be like, Jimenez, I have a special job just for you. Only you can do this. I need you to hook this tablet up to a monitor so that I can read the contents. And I think someone tried to wipe it. Or it's having a minor technical issue that I can't solve. So, you're the only person here I know can do this. Because the other person who's been on this bridge, I don't entirely trust. So, I leave this to you, and then we can read the files together if you like. Kid, I know this isn't working out the way you hoped, except for maybe the 3 murders. Do you want to go see the dead bodies? They're pretty gross. One of them's got their head fucking ripped off by a Joe, I'll tell you that.
You know, maybe, sure, yeah. And I'll begin the process of hooking up the tablet.
So you know 2 things are true right off the bat, Jimenez, and that is you can be an all-star rock star at Comtech. Nothing here in the cockpit's going to display that information because half the electronics are smashed in here. You can probably plug it into the Bison and get a read that way, but nothing here is going to be able to do the trick.
We may have to head back to the Bison, Hobbs. I don't know if you noticed, but everything's beat to shit here. He didn't look all there. He looked like shit. I feel like he looked like shit before all this. So I think he's messed some stuff up here.
Look, I've seen his bedroom. I mean, his room was the one with the door pulled off, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So
I can hook this up back at the Bison if you'd like.
Until we know what actually happened, I don't want to hook any electronics from this on our way home. I want to see if we can work out a tow and just drag the thing back.
that's a good point. Jimenez, you're gonna need to work out the tow stuff anyway. You're the only one here that knows anything about that sort of thing.
I'm right here.
He's the only one that can fly a goddamn ship.
Not technically true. Don't mess with your roughneck, by the way. If Robertson is going to work out the tow, that's a heavy machinery roll. And then for Jimenez to fly you back is another piloting roll. Of course, please take into account any stress you may be under.
Are you sure you don't want to see a dead body?
3 successes.
Oh, okay. So that's 2 stunts. So let's see if there's any heavy machinery fun stunts that you can do. +1 to a later roll. Don't need to roll again for this exact situation. You could do it in half the time. You could break it permanently, which is probably not ideal. But you could also show off.
I mean, let's do it in half the time.
Yeah, bingo bango. That's the way to do it. So before most of the rest of the crew really comprehend that Robertson is going through the tow process, Jackie gets things linked up and is ready for people to move off the Midas and back onto the Bison so that you can go home. It's pretty stunning, actually.
Not that Klaus notices, because he's still busy poking around with Mother.
Well, whatever Klaus does in his own time, as long as he doesn't break the law.
So the crew is going to return to Roanoke Station, and that, to me, sounds like a perfect time to wrap this episode. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Old Ways podcast as we play through Alien and a special little scenario called Rule of the Robots. More next time.